प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन गुरु वृंद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रीला हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। जगन्नाथ स्वामी बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। गंगा माई की जय। यमुना माई की जय। तुलसी महारानी की जय। भक्ति देवी की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So today we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10. And the chapter is entitled, just give me 1 second because I am the one sharing the screen also. 1 second. Yeah. You're able to see the screen? The Srimad Bhagavatam screen you're able to see? Yes?
Yes, yes, Mataji, but it is
Yes.
very small.
It's very small. Okay, I'll make the shloka big.
Yeah, now it's fine.
It went to one side. I'm actually not very good with the computer things. Just have to bring it this way. Okay.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah. Better, huh? You can see that.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah. So I just want to go a little bit this way, so we'll see the whole thing. Madhava, come. Just adjust this so it will come in the center. This thing has to come in the center. Page. It went to that side. Oh, thank you. Okay. So Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10. And this chapter is entitled Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwaraka. Text 21. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavatyuttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Yes. So, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 10, Text 21. Savai kilayam Purushaha Puratano. No. Savai kilayam Purushaha Puratano. Ya eka asida Vishesha Atmani. Agre Gunebhyo Jagadatmanishware. Nimilitatman Nishi Supta Shaktishu. Savai kilayam purushah puratano ya eka asida vishesha atmani agre gunebhyo jagadatmanishware nimilitatman nishi sukta shaktishu savai kilayam purushah puratano ya eka asida vishesha atmani agre gunebhyo jagadatmanishware nimilitatman nishi supta shaktishu. Please chant.
Hare Krishna. Save kilayam purushah puratano sa ya ek asid vishesha atmani agre gunebhyo jagadatmanishware nimilitatman ishi sukta shaktishu.
Anybody else would like to recite?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Kilayam Purusha Puratano Yayek Asid Avishesh Atmani Agre Gune Bhayo Jagat Atmani Sware Nilitatman Nishisukta Shaktishu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. Anybody else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Savai kilayam purusha puratano ya ek asid visheshatman atmani agare gunibhyo jagat atmanishware nimilitatma nishisupta shaktishu. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Savai kilayam purushah puratano yayeka sita visesha atmani agre gunebhyo jagadatmani sware nimilitatman nishisupta saktishu.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Okay. So we can go to word translation. Saha, he, Krishna. Vai, as I remember. Kila, definitely. I am this. Purushaha, personality of Godhead. Puratanaha, the original. Yaha, who. Ekaha, only one. Asit, existed. Avisheshaha, materially unmanifested. Atmani, own self. Agre, before creation. Gunebhyaha, of the modes of creation. Jagat Atmani, unto the super soul. Ishware, unto the Supreme Lord. Nimilita, merged into. Atman, the living entity. Nishisupta, inactive at night. Shaktishu, of the energies. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. They said, here he is, the original personality of Godhead, as we definitely remember him. He alone existed before the manifested creation of the modes of nature. And in him only, because he is the Supreme Lord, all living beings merge as if sleeping at night, their energy suspended. I'll read the translation again. They said, here he is, the original personality of Godhead, as we definitely remember him. He alone existed before the manifested creation of the modes of nature, and in him only, because he is the Supreme Lord, all living beings merge as if sleeping at night, their energy suspended. Purport. There are two types of dissolution of the manifested cosmos. At the end of every 4,320,000,000 solar years, when Brahma, the lord of one particular universe, goes to sleep, there is one annihilation. And at the end of Lord Brahma's life, which takes place at the end of Brahma's 100 years of age, in our calculation, at the end of 8,640,000,000 times 30 times 12 times 100 solar years, there is complete annihilation of the entire universe. And in both the periods, both the material energy called the Mahat Tattva and the marginal energy called Jiva Tattva merge in the Supreme, or in the person of the Supreme Lord. The living beings remain asleep within the body of the Lord until there is another creation of the material world. And that is the way of the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of the material manifestation. The material creation is effected by the interaction of the three modes of material nature, set in action by the Lord. And therefore it is said here that the Lord existed before the modes of material nature were set in motion. In the Shruti Mantra, it is said that only Vishnu, the Supreme Lord, existed before the creation. And there was no Brahma, Shiva, or other demigods. Vishnu means the Mahavishnu, who is lying on the causal ocean. By his breathing only, all the universes are generated in seeds and gradually develop into gigantic forms with innumerable planets. With innumerable planets within each and every universe. The seeds of universes develop into gigantic forms in the way seeds of a banyan tree develop into numberless banyan trees. This Mahavishnu is the plenary portion of the Lord Sri Krishna, who is mentioned in the Brahma Samhita 548 as follows. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the original personality of Godhead Govinda, whose plenary portion is the Mahavishnu. All the Brahmas, the heads of the universes, live only for the period of his exhaling after the universes are generated from the pores of his transcendental body. Thus, Govinda, or Lord Krishna, is the cause of Mahavishnu also. The ladies talking about this Vedic truth must have heard it from authoritative sources. An authoritative source is the only means of knowing about transcendental subject matter definitely. There is no alternative. The merging of the living beings into the body of Mahavishnu takes place automatically at the end of Brahma's 100 years. But that does not mean that the individual living being loses his identity. The identity is there. And as soon as there is another creation by the supreme will of the Lord, all the sleeping, inactive living beings are again let loose to begin their activities in the continuation of past different spheres of life. It is called Suptothita Nyaya, or awakening from sleep and again engaging in one's respective continuous duty. When a man is asleep at night, he forgets himself, what he is, what his duty is, and everything of his waking state. But as soon as he awakens from slumber, He remembers all that he has to do and thus engages himself again in his prescribed activities. The living beings also remain merged in the body of Mahavishnu during the period of annihilation, but as soon as there is another creation, they arise to take up their unfinished work. This is also confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita 8:18 and 19. The Lord existed before the creative energy was set in action. The Lord is not a product of the material energy. I'll read that part again. The Lord existed before the creative energy was set in action. The Lord is not a product of the material energy. His body is completely spiritual, and there is no difference between his body and himself. Before creation, the Lord remained in his abode, which is absolute and one. So, Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriya Pancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So this is verse 21. Who's speaking? Who's the speaker here? They said. Here he is, the original personality of Godhead as we definitely remember him. He alone existed before the manifested creation of the modes of nature, and him only, because he is the Supreme Lord, all living beings merge, as if sleeping at night, their energy suspended. Can anyone help me? Who is the speaker here? Who's saying this verse? Who? The shloka that we are reading, they said. Who is they?
The ladies.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. The ladies. So the ladies of Hastinapur. So what is happening? What is the situation here? The battle of Kurukshetra is over. And Krishna had come to assist. Not assist, actually Krishna had come to orchestrate the whole battlefield of Kurukshetra. Krishna's purpose is Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyutthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. So Krishna says, I come to protect the devotees, to deliver the pious beings, to annihilate the miscreants, and to re-establish the religious principles. So Krishna comes to Hastinapur for that purpose, to cause this battle of Kurukshetra, so that the miscreants will be annihilated, the pious will be delivered, or they will be restored to their positions, and once again dharma will be established on this planet. So that is done. The battle of Kurukshetra is over, and Yudhishthir Maharaj becomes the emperor, and Krishna wants to now he has to go back to Dwarka. So he makes a couple of attempts, isn't it? The first time he tried to go, and Uttara came because her womb was in danger. Ashwathama had attacked the baby in her womb. So then Kunti Maharani offered prayers to Lord Krishna. And then Krishna stayed. Then again, Krishna attempted to leave, and Yudhishthir Maharaj implored him to please stay back a few more days. Then Krishna stayed back. And then we heard about Bhishma Dev's prayers. And now again, Krishna, this is the final time. Krishna has to go back because there are devotees in Dwaraka waiting for him. They are in great separation from the Lord. So Krishna is getting ready to leave now. And this time it's certain he's going to go. So he's getting onto the chariot and he's leaving. And he's also bidding farewell to all the members in the Kuru dynasty. So the ladies, they're all feeling great separation from Krishna. And out of their natural shyness, they cannot come in front of Krishna. But they're like looking, their eyes are just following wherever Krishna is going. They're looking through the windows, through the balconies. And now they even got up on the roofs of the houses, and they're looking at Krishna. They're attached to Krishna. This is the perfection, to become attached to Krishna. So wherever Krishna goes, people become attracted to him, and it becomes very difficult for Krishna to leave from that place. So all these ladies, they were looking at Krishna. But today's verse is about their understanding of Shastra, their realization. So, yesterday's verse, we read that, I'll just read the translation. Absorbed in the thought of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is sung in select poetry, the ladies on the roofs of all the houses of Hastinapur began to talk of him. So when ladies get together, they talk, don't they? Right? They just talk. Of course, everybody, I think, when men get together, they also talk. Only the subject matter it may be different. So generally, what do you expect ladies to talk about? Talk about household affairs, or maybe some recipes, or children, and what else would they talk about? Maybe clothes and jewelry and shopping. That's what you expect ladies to talk amongst themselves in general. But here, what was the subject matter? Because they were so attached to Krishna, they were feeling intense separation. Their hearts were melting. Last Saturday we read, as if butter melts on a pot which is on fire. Their hearts were melting out of attraction for Krishna. This was their condition. And now, in that state of attraction, they're discussing talks about Krishna. So they may be just casual. You would expect ladies to talk some casual talks. One more thing that we should understand here is that the ladies in Vedic society, they didn't go to Gurukula. They didn't have an education system like we have today. The education system was, when a boy is 5 or 7 years old, he's sent to Gurukul to study under the teacher, under the guru. And he studies, excuse me, sound alert. So, so ladies didn't go to Gurukul. Only boys were going to Gurukul. And they would study Vedas. And even the Shudra boys also didn't go to Gurukul. Only the higher classes, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas also, they would go to Gurukul. First, they would have this Upanayanam Samskara, and then they would study under the teacher, the Vedas. So how would the women understand the Vedic scriptures, the Vedic knowledge? What is the chance for them to understand the Vedic scriptures? Their education was mainly from their mothers at home. Really, the girls would study from their mothers. Study means they hear. Shruti means what? Shruti means knowledge which is received through the medium of hearing. So, nevertheless, although they didn't go to school or Gurukul, where you are expected to perform severe austerities, live a very simple life, depending on the mercy of the Guru, and then the Guru would give you education by carrying out and also how the education would take place. The Guru will give you instructions what to do. And by this combination of Guru and disciple, the Guru gives some instruction and the disciple carries out that instruction. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya. So that whole combination is important. The disciple approaches in a mood of submission and the spiritual master gives the instruction. And then by carrying out the instruction of the spiritual master, that can be any service. He can tell, clean the house, cook, or, go and collect some, beg alms, cut some wood and bring from the forest. So by carrying out the instructions of the spiritual master, the fire of knowledge is ignited. This is the system. So therefore, it's very, very important, service to spiritual master. And of course, the spiritual master instructs in the scriptural knowledge also. So something which is very, very interesting here is these ladies who never went to Gurukul, what are they saying? Today's shloka? This Krishna that we are seeing in front of us, he is the same original person who existed before the creation. He is the same person who existed before the creation. And in him, all the living entities rest when there is annihilation. So this is the conclusion. This is a Vedic statement. So if you see Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, text, no, I cannot do it now. Second canto, text, canto 2, chapter 9, I think it's text 33. Maybe I can share it quickly. So this is called the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. In the Chatushloki Bhagavatam, Lord Krishna is speaking to Brahma at the beginning of creation. At the beginning of creation, when Lord Brahma was born from the lotus, he didn't know where he was, who he was, what he should do. So he was inspired by the Lord to perform tapasya. And he performed tapasya, and then for 1,000 years. And then he actually got darshan of the Lord. So at that time, the Lord gave him instructions about creation. He gave him the spiritual knowledge. The Vedas were imparted to Lord Brahma by the Supreme Lord himself in the beginning of creation, after he meditated on the Supreme Lord, whom he had not seen, he had not heard, but he was inspired from within the heart to meditate on the Supreme Lord. And then the Lord revealed the knowledge. So then this entire Srimad Bhagavatam, or the whole Vedas, was given in a seed form. It's called the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. The whole Srimad Bhagavatam is given in 4 verses. So the very first verse of the Lord's statement, that's what I want to share with you. That's what the ladies are speaking here. Let me see. Or I'll just read it to you because this sharing thing is taking some time. So Lord Krishna is saying, Brahma, it is I the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead. And after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead. So in short, what the Lord is saying is, I was there before creation. Only I was there before creation. Nothing else was there. And then whatever you're seeing now, this creation, that is also me. And when this creation ends, when this creation disappears, what remains is also me. So this is one of the 4 seed statements of the Srimad Bhagavatam. The entire Srimad Bhagavatam was spoken in 4 verses by the Supreme Lord to Lord Brahma. So the very first verse is that, connect this. The very first verse is that, is the verse that the ladies are speaking here. Now, Lord Brahma, who is the creator, or you can say the secondary creator of this universe, who is the secondary creator of this universe, he had no clue what to do. And he receives this knowledge from the Supreme Lord. And whatever anyone is studying here, all the Vedas, they are coming down from Lord Brahma. He's the first person in this universe. So any great sage or any great person or any Brahmana, whatever Vedas that we know today, they are coming from Lord Brahma. These ladies who never went to school, they know that. And they have actually realized it. So the point is, the point that Srila Prabhupada is making here is, an authoritative source is the only means of knowing about transcendental subject matter definitely. There is no alternative. So one thing that we know here is, although girls, we have this idea that, women didn't have freedom before and now they are liberated, they have equal rights as men. But it's not a fact that the women were deprived of knowledge. This is one example of the ladies of Hastinapur. And this is just the first prayer. As we read, a prayer, it's not even prayer, it's actually their talk, that they're talking amongst themselves. That's why in the previous verse, it is said that this talk amongst the ladies was more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas. It was more attractive. Why? As we were hearing yesterday from His Holiness Mahavishnu Swami Maharaj, this was realized knowledge. It was realized by them. Like the gopis, and Maharaj was giving the example of the book distributors who were doing it. They had this affection for the Lord and they have realized it. So like that, these ladies, but nevertheless, this is Vedic knowledge, but it is now realized and with great love, it's being spoken. So now coming back to the subject matter that they were discussing, what are they saying? He alone existed before the manifested creation. So who existed before manifested creation? If we talk about creation, so first of all, there is, before creation, there's only Lord Mahavishnu, Karanodakashayi Vishnu, who is laying down on the causal ocean in his Yoga Nidra. Yoga Nidra means mystic sleep, mystic slumber. And while he's sleeping, he's breathing. And what is happening? What happens when we sleep? Maybe we snore and we dream. And that's about it. Can we do anything else when we are sleeping? When we are fast asleep? Can we do any other activity? Can the house get cleaned up as we are sleeping? Can prasadam be prepared and, everyone serve prasadam as I'm sleeping? No, it doesn't happen. When I'm sleeping, I forget myself. I forget who I am when I'm awake, what my duties are. I just forget everything. I'm just sleeping, isn't it? So, But when the Lord is sleeping, what happens? He's sleeping, apparently sleeping, but while he's sleeping, with his every breath, when he exhales, so many universes are springing out from his skin pores, unlimited. Universes are springing out from his skin pores. And he's breathing constantly. And when he inhales, all the universes go back into his body. And again, when he exhales, the universes come out. And where do they stay? They come out, and the Lord is laying on this causal ocean. So all the universes are floating like footballs on the causal ocean. And then when he inhales, they all go back into his body. This is what is happening. Now, what we have to understand is, relatively, what does that time period mean to us? For him, it is just one breath, one exhalation, and the universes are created. And in the next inhalation, they're going back into his body. But that is one lifetime, one full lifetime of Lord Brahma. That time period of half a breath, actually, isn't it? When he exhales, they are created. And the time between his exhalation and inhalation, that is the life, 100 years of Lord Brahma. 100 years of Lord Brahma. Now, what is 100 years of Lord Brahma in relation to our time? So Lord Brahma's 100 years is made up of 100 years. So each year is made up of 12 months. Each month has 30 days, and each day has 24 hours, or each day has a day and night. 24 hours has a day and night. So Lord Brahma's one day, which is his 12 hours, is equal to 1000 yuga cycles. What is a yuga cycle? Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga taken together, that is one cycle. 1000 such cycles is 12 hours of Lord Brahma. And these 1000 cycles, each cycle consists of Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Kali Yuga. The duration of Kali Yuga is 432,000 years, as we know, our years. Each Kali Yuga lasts for 432,000 years. Dwapar Yuga is times 2, 864,000 years. Treta Yuga is times 3. It's like 1,200,000 some years. Satya Yuga times 4. 4 times 432,000. 1,007,000 some years. So if you add up all these years together, all the Satya, Treta, Dwapar, Kali together, if you add up, that's what is given in the purport. So just to give us an idea of how great is the Lord, how it's beyond our comprehension. Unless we have these numbers, we don't understand. We just simply say God is great. But from the Vedas, you understand how great is God. So Lord Brahma's one day is calculated as 4,320,000,000 years. One day of Lord Brahma. So before Lord Brahma is born, before this whole material creation came into existence, Lord Krishna was existing, the ladies are saying. But Lord Krishna, he is the son of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, or he is the son of Devaki and Vasudeva. How are you saying that he existed before? This is the realization of Lord Brahma. In Brahma Samhita, we read this. Srila Prabhupada quotes that in the purport. Brahma Samhita 548. Yasyaika nishvasita kala mathavalambya jivanti loma vilaja jagadandhanatha Vishnur Mahansa Ihayasya Kala Vishesho Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. What is Lord Brahma saying? Yasyaika Nishvasita, from whose Shwasa, breath, Kala Mathavalambya, Jivanti Loma Vilaja Jagadandanatha. So from his every breath, exactly what I told you just now. From his every breath, so many Brahmandas are coming out. And in each Brahmanda, there are controllers like Lord Brahma and others. So they are all springing from every breath of Lord Mahavishnu. But who is this Mahavishnu? He's only a portion of the portion of the portion of this Govinda. That is Brahma Samhita prayer. And the ladies are aware of this. That the Krishna that we are seeing now, who is going away to Dwaraka, he is that same original person from whom everything has come, who existed before creation. So that is one half of their statement, that he existed before the creation. So how the ladies know this? Srila Prabhupada is saying, they must have heard. Yes. So they must have heard it from authoritative sources, otherwise how they will know? So also Srila Prabhupada gives this example that a child may not know the mechanics of how a microphone is working. But he hears from his father that this machine, this thing is a microphone. When you speak in it, it amplifies the sound. So he doesn't know exactly what is the details, how it is able to amplify the sound. But he recognizes that it is a microphone. And when he tells somebody, this is a microphone, when you speak through it, then it will amplify the sound, then that knowledge is correct. It is accurate, even though it is spoken by a child. Why is it accurate? Because he got it from the right source, from an authoritative source. So similarly, even though somebody may be a woman who never went to school, but she heard it from an authoritative source. She must have heard from a mother. A mother must have heard either from her father or from her husband who had gone to Gurukul. But she got that message nevertheless. So that's how we understand. And they accepted that knowledge. And they have realized it. They have realized it. And they're speaking that amongst themselves now. So that was the first part about the Lord existing before creation. There's also one more point there, that the Lord comes from time to time in this material world, performing so many, pastimes in various incarnations. The Lord appears here. So someone might say, like the Mayavadis, they say that the Lord's body is also made of material nature. The way we take birth, he's also taking birth. Because what is their point? That we are all Brahman. There is no difference, right? We are all Brahman. So there's no difference between me and Krishna. When Krishna comes and I come, it's the same thing. So this point actually makes it clear that no, we are not the same. For one thing, when the Lord appears, he chooses to whom he should appear. He wants to appear. He chooses his parents. Oh, Vasudeva and Devaki, I choose Vasudeva and Devaki as my parents and I will appear to them. Do any of us have that choice? Did we ever decide that I will appear in this particular family to these two people as, I'll be their child? We don't have that choice. That's not possible for us. And here the statement is, the whole creation, everything starts after Lord Mahavishnu glances on Prakriti. Before that, Prakriti is in a state of equilibrium. There is no activity going on. So even the modes are in equilibrium. Nothing is in action. But only after the Lord glances, then everything is set into motion. So the Lord existed before the creation means he is beyond the material creation. He is not coming under the material creation. His body is not material. He is not influenced by the modes of material nature. So that is the point. And then Finally, talking about annihilation. There is annihilation, various types of annihilations that go on. So when we talk about janmadhyasya yatonvayad itaratas chartheshu. So janma adi, this is the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. So janma means creation, adi means etc. Janma means creation, etc. means creation, maintenance, annihilation. He is the cause of creation, maintenance, and annihilation. So annihilation is also important. Annihilation is also important. So what happens at the end of creation, the final? So Srila Prabhupada in the purport is telling us there are two types of annihilation or dissolution. One that takes place at the end of Lord Brahma's one day, and another one that takes place at the end of Lord Brahma's 100 years, or at the end of his life. So his day, Lord Brahma's day, consists of 12 hours, and his night also consists of 12 hours. So he's awake for 12 hours and he sleeps for 12 hours. So 1000 yuga cycles is his day, and for equal amount of time he's sleeping at night. For another one kalpa, there's no activity, he's sleeping. So what happens to this world at that time when he's sleeping? All the lower planetary systems, the middle planetary systems, and even upper planetary systems up to Swargaloka, they're all disintegrated. They're disintegrated. And what happens to all the people? We are all conditioned souls, so we are not liberated yet. We cannot just go back to Godhead, or we cannot just go and merge into Brahman. Merging into Brahman is called impersonal liberation. Here Srila Prabhupada is saying, or the ladies are saying, that he is the Supreme Lord in whom all living beings merge at the time of annihilation. So are we talking about liberation here? That when Lord Brahma goes to sleep, all the jivatmas, all the living entities, they go and merge into the Supreme Lord? No. So the partial annihilation, which comes after one day of Lord Brahma, there, of course, the material body, we all go through death. The body is, the living entity, the gross body is shed, it's destroyed. But the living entity, along with the subtle body, consisting of mind, intelligence, and ego, they all go into Lord Brahma. They all go into Lord Brahma. Or Lord Brahma, along with all these living entities, can go into Garbhodakashayi Vishnu also and sleep there for one kalpa. The higher planets like Janaloka, Tapaloka, Maharloka, and Satyaloka, Lord Brahma's planet, they are not disintegrated. They are not destroyed. The planets stay. What about the living entities that live there? They live there, but they are also sleeping. Just like Lord Brahma is sleeping, they also go into Lord Brahma and they also sleep. There is no activity. There's no activity. Everyone is sleeping. Either they enter into Lord Brahma enters into Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, and they all sleep there. And then when it is time for next day, or Lord Brahma's day, in the morning, he'll wake up in the morning, and once again he has to do the creation. The upper planets are already there. So Swarga and down, he'll create all the planets again, and then all the different bodies are created, and the living entities, they're assigned different bodies according to their karma. The subtle body is still there, and then they just, so the Srila Prabhupada is explaining here one nyaya, or a rule. Nyaya means a rule, called Suptothita Nyaya. What does that mean? When we sleep at night, we forget who we are. But as soon as I wake up in the morning, immediately I remember what I was doing the night before. Before going to bed, before sleeping. Maybe I was reading Krishna book, or I was reading Srimad Bhagavatam. And I just remember. And then I also remember what I'm supposed to do today. I have to go to work, or I have to do this and that. I have to wake up and do Mangalarti. I have to chant my rounds, right? I remember. But when I'm sleeping, I may not remember. I forget who I am, where I am, what I am. I'm in a different world. I may be dreaming of something else. But as soon as I wake up, once again, I remember what I was doing before I went to sleep. So this living entities entering into, or during annihilation, the state of the living entities is he's in a deep sleep. That's all. Just like our sleeping at night. Only this sleep lasts for a very long time, for millions of years. But we are in deep sleep. So while we are sleeping, we don't remember anything. We don't remember, what our desires are. We are just sleeping. And as soon as there is creation, the next creation, where as soon as we wake up, then it's as if everything is back now. I know what to do, who I am, what I like, what I don't like, and the whole activity begins. So this is for partial annihilation. Similar is the case after the final annihilation of the universe. Whoever gets liberated during by taking to Krishna consciousness or by practicing Jnana Marga, whoever becomes liberated, they either merge into Brahman or they go back to the spiritual world. But those who are not liberated, who are still trying to enjoy in this world, and then it's time for final annihilation, what happens to all those living entities? Yeah, this time the whole universe is dissolved. So when the universe is dissolved, Prakriti is also dissolved. Prakriti also enters into dissolved, means she doesn't disappear like the living entity. We are marginal energy, right? We are not completely annihilated. We are there. Huh? So the material energy is there, but she will be in a dormant state, in a seed form. So all this is now, even Garbhodakashai Vishnu is going back into Karanodakashai Vishnu. So Garbhodakashai Vishnu is in each of those footballs, each of those universes that are floating on the causal ocean. So final annihilation means the inhalation of Mahavishnu, when all these universes go back into his body through the skin pores again. They're going back into his body. That is final annihilation. So what happened at the beginning of creation? Mahavishnu is glancing on Prakriti. The modes are set into motion. Mind is created. Intelligence is created. False ego, demigods, senses, sense objects. All these are created. So when there is final annihilation, all these are dissolved also. The entire total material energy, Mahat Tattva, is going back into the Supreme Lord. So there is no mind, no intelligence, no false ego. There's just that living entity with a thin covering called avidya. Avidya means ignorance. That's all. So it is that layer of avidya which is carrying the karma of the living entity. But all these living entities, and including the material energy, they all go back into Mahavishnu and stay there for a very, very long time. For a very, very long time. Until the Lord exhales again and all the universes are created one more time. So this is the phenomenon that is happening. Constantly, it's going on constantly. Lord Mahavishnu is breathing and so many universes are being created and they are becoming annihilated again. They are going back into him. And during this time, so many empires come into picture, right? Existence. And then so many empires disappear. Unlimited number of people are taking birth, living entities, all types of living entities. They're taking birth and they're dying. And anyone in any position in any body thinks that he or she is the most important person and what he's doing is the most important activity. He's the center of the universe. You can understand how strong is Maya acting on us, isn't it? We think that I am the center, but who am I? when we understand Krishna's position, then we see how insignificant is my position. So when Haridas Thakur was giving up his body, Haridas Thakur was very, very aged. But he had this vow that he had taken, that he would chant 192 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra every day before even drinking water or eating, or what to speak of sleeping. Every single day, this was his vow. He would chant 192 rounds of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. And then when he became very old, he was not able to keep up. And once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, he would come every day to see Haridas Thakur. He would bring prasadam for Haridas Thakur from Jagannath Puri, because Haridas Thakur, being born in a Muslim family, was not given entrance. He couldn't enter into Jagannath temple to take darshan of Jagannath. So Lord Jagannath himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, would come every day to see Haridas Thakur. So one day when he came, Mahaprabhu asked him, "What's news, Haridas?" And then Haridas said, "Whatever mercy you show me," like that. The Lord had told him he didn't have to chant so many rounds anymore. But Haridas Thakur considered himself to be in a diseased condition. What is the disease? If I'm not able to keep up with my vows, then spiritually I'm in a diseased condition. So he actually wanted to give up his body. That was his desire. Looking at the face of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the midst of Kirtan, chanting the names of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wanted to give up his body. So the Lord said, "Haridas, if you leave me, then what will I do without you? I have come here only because of devotees like you. If the devotees are not there, then what happiness will I have?" So Haridas Thakur said, "My Lord, why are you creating this illusion? What loss is there to this world if an insect, a mosquito, dies? What loss is there to this world?" Of course, Haridas Thakur is speaking in his great humility, but this is also a Siddhanta, a conclusion of the Shastra. We think we are so great, but what is my position? Just look at the whole creation. Look at the Supreme Lord. Who am I? So insignificant. Yet how great is the Supreme Lord? He even one spirit soul is very, very dear to Krishna because he is his part and parcel. And he comes for everyone as Paramatma, waiting for that person to come back home, like a loving father whose son, left home and went away. And the father is waiting for the son to come back. That is Krishna's position. But actually, the spiritual world Krishna has, so this whole material creation that we discussed today is only 1/4 of the Lord's creation. 3/4 of it is in the spiritual world. And in the spiritual world, everyone loves Krishna. They're all his obedient, loving servants. He's surrounded by these devotees. Still, Krishna is feeling for us, who are just a small minority and who have rejected him, who rebelled against him. But he's coming here, performing this whole Srishti Leela, this pastime of creation for our sake. And he's coming from time to time in so many different incarnations. Manvantara avatars, Yuga avatars, Leela avatars, Guna avatars. Right? So many avatars is coming just to remind us, come back home, back to Godhead. You can live with me happily ever after. And these ladies in Hastinapur, they have this realization. They're seeing Krishna and they're saying, he is that original personality of Godhead who alone existed before creation, and into him all the living entities merge as if sleeping at night. So we can stop here. If there's any questions or discussions, we can take now. Okay, if there's no question, yes, Kalpesh Prabhu and Sonia Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Mataji, Hare.
I was just wondering about the sloka that you referred, like Duryodhana, Lord, it was the Lord plan um, to kill those kings, and Duryodhana, all those, they were not following the dharmas. So when they got killed, I believe because God glanced, so they might be liberated. But what happened to their personality? Like they are still evil kind of personality.
Acha, acha. Okay. So you're talking about the demons that the Lord killed. Is that what you're saying, Mataji? The demons who are killed by the Lord,
Yes.
what happened to them? Is that what you're asking?
Mhm.
Yeah, they become liberated, Mataji. They become liberated, but that does not mean that they actually get love of Godhead. So liberation is of many kinds. So being liberated means you don't have to come back and take birth in this world. So this covering of avidya, forgetfulness is there, right? So that avidya is causing us to become conditioned in this world. We have this false ego, and then that's making us take birth again and again in different material bodies. So liberation means that covering of avidya or ignorance is removed. Now, there are different types of liberation. Somebody simply goes and merges. So this individual spirit soul merges into the effulgence of the Lord called Brahman. And he goes and merges into that and becomes one with Brahman. That's one type of liberation called Sayujya Mukti. Another liberation is one goes into the spiritual world, enters into the spiritual world. He even gets a form. Sometimes Sarupya Mukti means you get the same form as the Supreme Lord. Like Lord Vishnu Murti has 4 arms, Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. So this person who gets Sarupya Mukti, he will also have the form of Lord Vishnu. Like Lord Vishnu, he will have Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma. And another liberation is Samipya. You will be in close proximity with the Supreme Lord. And you'll get a form like him. Or Sarshti means you'll get the same opulence as the Supreme Lord. You'll get the same opulence as the Supreme Lord. So like this, there are 5 different types of liberation. But the ultimate type of liberation is to revive our love of Godhead, Prema. And that also, we have different forms of the Lord. You have Vishnumurti form, and then you have Lord Ramchandra, Lord Narsimhadev, Lord Varahadev, like that different. They're all expansions of the Lord. But the original personality, Ete Chamsa Kala Pumsaha Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. Krishna also, which Krishna? Not Vasudev Krishna, Vrindavan Krishna, Sham Sundar Krishna. Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So when we revive our love for Krishna in Vrindavan, that is the ultimate type of liberation. Then it does not matter whether I take birth in this world or in hell or in heaven or I go back to the spiritual world. It is all the same because my consciousness is revived. I'm always in a mood of loving the Supreme Personality of Godhead wherever I may be. That is the highest type of liberation that we are aspiring for. So what happens to these demons that are killed by the Lord? Are they actually reviving the love of Godhead? No. Love of Goddess is revived when you render bhakti, love. So love comes from love. You have when you actually perform loving devotional service, then you're making progress in bhakti. Now, where will you get this love from? You will get it from those who have that love, from devotees. So when you come in association with devotees who have that type of love for the Supreme Lord, you hear from them, you serve them, then the love from their heart is transferred to you, and then you will also become a devotee of the Lord. That's the only way you can get. So the demons, if they have never associated with the devotees of the Lord, if they have never served the devotees of the Lord, or if they have never heard instructions from the devotees of the Lord, there's no way that they're going to get love of God. Nevertheless, because they come in touch with the Supreme Lord, never mind even as an enemy, out of anger, out of envy, but because the Lord is he's like parasmani, you know. Even iron, when it comes in touch with parasmani, it turns into gold. So similarly, someone who's coming in touch with the Lord, even with the intention of killing him, because he comes in touch with the Lord, he becomes liberated. Liberated means he doesn't have to take birth, which is so painful in this world, right? It's a vicious cycle of birth and death. So he doesn't have to take birth. But from there, from that position, will he actually develop love of Godhead? That depends on whether he will get association of a devotee or not. So actually, we are in a very good position where we may be in this material world, but we get association of devotees. We get to hear Srimad Bhagavatam, Krishna's pastimes. This is giving us an opportunity to develop our love for Krishna. Never mind, even if we have to take 10 more lifetimes, it's okay. But we'll get the ultimate liberation, which is developing love of Godhead. Is that okay, Sonia Mataji?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So if there's no other comments or questions, we can end the class here. Thank you all very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Gaur Bhakti Vrind ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hari Hari Gaur. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.